How do you flip a house for profit? Flipping a house is easy. Flipping a house for profit, well, that's where most people get stuck. You ever wonder why some flips lose money while other flips print cash? Well, this video is going to explain why. There is a formula for flipping profitably, and if you skip even one step, it can wipe out your entire deal. By the end of this video, you're going to learn how to structure your entire flip, from buying to selling with profit in mind right from the start. If I were to ask you, when do you make profit on your deal? Most people say, well, when I sell the deal, right, Glenn? It's not actually right. We make our profit when we buy the deal, because no matter how great of a sale we have, if we didn't buy it right in the first place and create margin, there's no profit left to actually collect. So we make our money when we buy, we realize that money or cash the check when we sell. It's crucial to understand this as a new real estate investor or an aspiring real estate investor. You see, what we buy a house for is always negotiable. What we sell a house for is really not that negotiable because it's based on the comps or the comparable sales in the neighborhood. People will usually make an offer based on what surrounding houses that are very similar in size, square footage, shape, condition, what they're selling for. As a matter of fact, that's what banks will usually provide them the financing or the mortgages for based on the comparable sales. So it has to make sense. No one's gonna pay you an extra $50,000 because you bought the home wrong and you say, well, I bought the home wrong, I'll just sell it for more. No, you won't. Because remember, what someone's gonna pay for the house is almost a fixed amount in many cases. Sometimes people are paying cash, they overpay, but not in most cases. Most cases based on the comparable sales. You can never out-rehab a bad buy. So you can't say to yourself, well, it's a bad buy, I'll make it up in the rehab. I'll just make this house look amazing. Again, you can over-renovate and you will not get dollar for dollar out of that property. I remember 15 years ago, Amber and I, in one of our early flips, we bought a home that we thought we would make it into a mansion. And so we took one of the bedrooms that was small and turned it into a luxurious master bath. It had an open hot tub, jacuzzi tub all by itself. It had dark custom paint on the inside, had a place for candles to be up there, had special lighting, had a beautiful vanity in there, all kinds of great things. We didn't sell that house for much more money than the local neighbors at all because frankly, it was overdone for the neighborhood. We thought we could pick up an extra $10,000 or $15,000 and make such a beautiful bathroom, but the truth is people that were buying in that neighborhood didn't even know what to do with the bathroom. It was so beautiful. They just wanted to use it as a bathroom. They were just kind of confused by it, and we were shocked. We learned that message early on. You can't out-rehab a bad buy. Luckily in that house, we didn't buy it wrong in the first place. We still had enough profit, but we tried to really hit a home run by over-renovating a property. You can't do that. So how do you buy it right? Look, there is some very basic math that you can use that if you stick with these numbers, you can almost guarantee yourself success. Now, you have to manage the property right also, but when you first buy, that's the first thing. So you want to buy it cheap enough. The first number you have to know is what's called your MAO. MAO, that stands for maximum allowable offer. That means what is the max I can pay for this house and still cover my buying costs, my holding costs, my renovation costs, and get me a 15 to 20% profit margin on this house. And here's what the equation looks like. I want you to figure out the ARV or the after repair value of that home. You do that by running the comps or the comparable sales, and that will give you an idea or a ballpark or a range of what that home will sell for when you're done making it look beautiful. Now you have that number. Let's say for argument's sake, it's $200,000. Great. Now I want you to multiply that number by 60 or 70%. 70 is probably the maximum you should multiply it by. I prefer you to be in the 60 range, but for argument's sake, let's say it's 70. So if you multiply 200,000 by 70%, that's going to give you $140,000 as an equation number we're going to work with. Now I want you to subtract the repair costs. By the way, you don't know how to run repair costs, please make sure and visit our channel. You can pick up all kinds of tips and training on how to estimate repair costs in your neighborhood, but you subtract repair costs. Let's say in this case, the repair costs are $40,000. So if we took our equation of 200,000 times 70% is 140,000 minus $40,000 in repair costs, that leaves us with a MAO or a maximum allowable offer of $100,000. Now you might say, great, I'll offer $100,000 for that house. Wrong. I don't want you to do that. I want you to say to yourself, every dollar that I can bring this purchase in under $100,000 is pure profit in my pocket for me and for my family. You might say, Glenn, now you're being greedy. No, I'm not. And neither are you. You're taking on all the risk that come along with buying a property like that. If something shows up like an old septic system that no one knew about that you have to deal with and it costs you $10,000, that comes out of your pocket once you buy the house. You see, once you own a house, everything good or bad becomes yours to deal with. You buy a house and suddenly find out that the neighbor has an easement that's on the property and the fence that's been there for 20 years, they now want that fence down, and that costs you $5,000. Guess who pays for that? You, not the former seller. So you are taking on risks when you buy a house. So you want to make sure you go deep enough to cover those risks, okay? You may also go in there and find that there's bug infestation that you didn't see during an inspection, and you'll have to deal with that. And I'm not trying to scare you. I'm just trying to be very real with you. As a coach, my job is to make sure you're aware of all the good and the bad in flipping houses. But let's get back to buying the house. Now, if my Mayo is $100,000, I want to start my negotiations at, you ready for this? $50,000. Ow, I know that hurt a little bit. I know that's scary. If your first offer doesn't make you squirm, make you uncomfortable, make you have sweaty palms, then you offered too much on that property. The job in negotiation is very simply to find out how much are they willing to take and how much can you take. You can always go up, you can't come down. If you start at $100,000 and they say, well, I'll take 120, you can't go to 120, or you're going to ruin your entire flipping career before it even gets started because you're going to lose money on that deal. So you want to go as cheap as you can. One of our students, I personally helped them buy a house just a couple years ago. It was a rental house. And the person called up, they had a tenant in this house for 25 years. And this gentleman inherited the house from his dad. He was out of state, wanted nothing to do with the house. And the guy told my student, David, he said, I will take $90,000 for that house. At first look, $90,000 was a good price for that house. But the tenant would not let them in the house to see it. He would have had to buy this house sight unseen, literally. Now, this particular neighborhood, I had flipped probably 300 houses in this neighborhood over the years. So I had a good idea for what could be the worst case scenario. So I said, you have to figure out every possible repair that you may have to bump into. 25 years, they could be cooking meth in that house. They could have dead bodies in the basement. I have no idea. There could be a lot of things going on in the house that I don't know about. So you want to make sure that you budget yourself for every possible calamity that can happen. So they did. And he called up and said, Glenn, I had to offer him like 60 grand. I said, great, let's offer him 50. He said, what? He's a pastor too. He's a great guy, huge heart of gold. I said, buddy, you got to prepare yourself because you take the hit. If you open up those doors and it's horrible, it's a meth lab in there, you have to deal with it. So if you're going to buy a house sight unseen and the seller won't let you in because the tenants won't let you in, you have to do it. I coached him through exactly what to say and how to say it, and he did. And the guy said, I won't take 50. But I will take 60. And you know that he closed in that deal for $60,000 without seeing it. They finally got in there 2 weeks later and saw the house. You know what was wrong inside the house? Nothing. It was in pristine condition. Our students made $100,000 in instant equity when they bought that property because they negotiated it correctly. They protected themselves for the potential downside that might happen, and the seller took it because he couldn't get in the house. Look, when you're negotiating, you make your money when you buy. These examples I'm giving you are you make your money when you buy in real estate. So you must be good at understanding that equation and sticking to it like glue. Do not buy with emotion. Don't get caught up in auctions or get caught up in multiple bid situations where you're overpaying for a house because you let your emotions get away with you. Know your number, know your Mayo, and stick to it, and that's how you become successful as a real estate investor. When you're figuring out your repair costs, I want you to make sure that you don't use eraser math. You know what eraser math is? Eraser math is just that. Boy, I bet you I could get that for cheaper. I wonder if I could have my cousin Larry do the tile. Hey, I wonder, would your brother help us paint in the weekends? And you start changing numbers on your spreadsheet. That's the biggest mistake you'd ever make. Don't use eraser math, use real math to be a real estate investor. Don't kid yourself because we make our money when we buy, so make sure you buy right. If it comes in better, great, but prepare for the worst. Now, I want you to protect your timeline during this project. I'm going to assume you bought it right. Now I want you to protect your timeline during this and protect your scope of work. You're going to design a complete scope of work so your contractor knows exactly what to do. If you don't know how to do that, follow our channel here. There's lots of videos to train you on how to do that effectively. And also, the faster you get your job done, the less you're going to pay in holding costs. Again, videos in our channel to go over holding costs and what they are. But you want to reduce the time that you own a piece of property because the longer you own a piece of property, the less profit you're going to make day by day by day. So manage that job like a boss. Manage your scope of work. Make sure they're doing the work, the same scope of work that you had. Don't change midstream unless you absolutely have to. And if you do, redo a new scope of work and make sure you live off that. We call that our Project Bible. When managing contractors, have a contract that has penalties for every day they go past the deadline. You have to let the contractor know, look, this is not like doing a kitchen for Ma Pa Kettle that has saved $50,000 to have their new kitchen done for the past 20 years. I run my business like a business. Time is money. So I have to get my job done by the deadline because this is what I do. And by the way, if you do a good job for me, I have more work after this that you don't have to go out and do a lot of estimates to find someone that'll pay you. I'm willing to do that with you. Let's get this relationship off to a good start right out of the gates. Now we get to the selling part. This is the fun part. This is when you get to collect the check, but you first have to get across the finish line by selling the house. List the house with an agent. Make sure that you price it correctly. You'll do really well in a hot market to price it below $10,000 below what you think you'll get for the house and drive up all kinds of bidding on the house. Make sure that you're always talking to the real estate agent and find out the best way to get the top dollar for your house. If you price it too high, no one's going to show up and then it starts to look stale and you will get less for the house. There's a strategy to it, so make sure you use the strategy that your real estate agent teaches you. I'm going to tell you to always price it a little below the market value and let the buyers bid it up for you. And bottom line, if you find yourself in a market where the house is not selling fast, you think you're priced right, the bottom line is it's priced too high. And if you're not getting foot traffic, meaning people aren't actually getting in there and taking a look at your house, well, then you're priced too high. I would lower that every week by $5,000 until you start getting foot traffic, because foot traffic equals an eventual buy. And the longer it sits, the worse it is for you in so many ways. And those steps in how to find, how to fund, how to fix, how to buy, how to flip the house, how to sell the house, those are the strategies you need to be successful as a flipper. Flipping for a profit starts long before the renovation process. It starts when you buy the deal originally, but you have to know what to buy and how to buy it. Now, after 1,200 flips and over 20 years of being a full-time real estate investor and helping thousands of people do this, we have developed what we call a buy box. Want to know what a buy box is and how you should do it? I put together a video that explains everything in great detail right here for you. Click on the button, learn about a buy box, learn how to get the phone ringing to you with the perfect house for you to be a successful flipper. Click on the link right here in the description below.